I told you last night it's the biggest story in the world right now, and the mystery about how the COVID-19 pandemic began continues to deepen after astonishing pronouncements from the World Health Organization overnight. The timing was exquisite. I showed you last night how much of the so-called liberal left media, some of the most respected left-of-centre platforms in the US, such as the Washington Post and CNN, were finally starting to report on China's coronavirus cover-ups and how masses of detailed evidence pointed to a possible viral leak from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in September 2019, just weeks before the first publicly acknowledged cases of coronavirus in that city. Well, last night, the World Health Organization investigators gave us their first reports from Wuhan. Remember, the WHO was slow in calling out the virus, quick to run Beijing's line from the start, and slow in setting up an investigation. It's only just gotten into China to examine the virus origins more than a year after the pandemic started to spread around the world, and only after delays and obfuscation from Chinese authorities. So the initial findings revealed last night were, I suppose, hardly surprising.
New evidence but few answers from the World Health Organization team in Wuhan, for the first time addressing what they know now about the origins of the coronavirus.
Did we change dramatically the picture we had beforehand? I don't think so. Did we improve our understanding? Did we add details to that story? Absolutely.
Yeah, so they didn't learn much. Poked around under Chinese guidance for a couple of weeks, more than a year after the pandemic began. It's hard to believe that all of this was not by design. China has not been keen for transparency, and the WHO has hardly been pressing for accountability. Still, given they didn't learn much and they cannot be definitive about the origins of the virus, there were some messages that seemed surprisingly firm.
Lack of any clear path to humans had long stirred speculation. The virus could have leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
In coming here, the World Health Organization has said all hypotheses are on the table.
The WHO team visited the lab, but now says it has ruled out a lab accident or leak as a possible driver for the pandemic.
How about that, hey? Despite finding the virus most likely originated from bats, and despite the closest known naturally occurring coronavirus was one from bats that were sampled from Yunnan province in 2015 and transported to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where it's been worked on ever since, and despite evidence that the institute was shut down in October 2019, possibly because of an infection control breach. Remember, this was just weeks before the first publicly declared COVID-19 cases in Wuhan. And despite the fact the institute at that time shut down access to databases on this part of its research, and has shut down more databases since, despite all that, the WHO says it's almost certain the Wuhan Institute of Virology is not the source.
Perhaps the most interesting one is that the lab incident, though they didn't rule it out, the team said that it was extremely unlikely and that they were going to stop the investigation that they had into the possibility that the virus came from a lab.
Very interesting indeed. It seems like the WHO has had a bit of a tour, spoken to a few people, and then from China told the world that it hasn't learned much, but that the crucial Chinese facility, which is reportedly connected to military biological warfare research, is in the clear. But it gets even more convenient.
Another interesting point was that in running through the possibilities of how this virus could have jumped to humans, the WHO team said that it was also possible that it could have been transmitted to humans through frozen food. So that is a theory that we have seen heavily promoted by Beijing, and I think it just really goes to show that the investigation, though it's supposed to come up with some conclusions, really will not put the political controversy over the start of this pandemic to rest.
Yeah, the old frozen food theory, hey? This theory is a beauty because it means the virus could have come from anywhere, another country even. Some frozen turkey from the US, Maybe some peas from Australia. How intriguing, how convenient. The best we can say about the WHO team at the moment is that they were speaking from China, and it would have been personally dangerous for them to say anything implicating China. They might have faced the same fate as an Australian journalist at the moment. So let's wait and see what the WHO says in their final report. But don't get your hopes up. The Chinese disregard for transparency and for helping to inform health agencies around the world is chilling. And the WHO has been soft on them and the pandemic from the start. It looks like it's going to be up to Western intelligence agencies to unpick this one, even though the answers are crucial to the health of billions of people.